Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. Today's interview was shot March 30th, 2021. About 4 years ago, my nephew Jimmy Wood called me and said, "Hey, I got a band you ought to listen to." I heard him. I said, "Who is this?" And he goes, "Well, it's a bunch of young guys named Greta Van Fleet." And I thought, well, there's the future of rock and roll. And I haven't been disappointed. And they've continually gotten better and better and better. And they're really, really great now. And I was so lucky to have an interview with them here at the museum. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Part 1, Greta Van Fleet. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame. Our guest today is Greta Van Fleet. Thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging out.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Feel like old friends now.
Yeah, we've had a glorious day, a mystical day.
We go way back. Yeah.
Yeah. An hour?
An hour.
Right?
Was it?
Hour and a half, maybe.
It's pretty good.
My nephew, who you guys met earlier, Jimmy Wood, he told me about you guys about 4 years ago. He said, "Check this band out." And I'm like, "Geez, who is that?" And so you've been on the back burner for me just because of the museum. Of course, the YouTube thing we've been doing for about a year and a half. And so definitely for that. And then, of course, I think the first time I talked to maybe Brittany or somebody who's your manager or whatever, before the COVID-19 hit. And so it's just been kind of waiting.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're here now.
We have arrived.
We've made it.
Help me out.
Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Yeah.
And Jake, Josh, Sam, brothers, Danny, new brother.
God bless him.
Brother. He's a good guy.
We adopted him.
Right.
Well, honestly, usually I know people that we have on the show. Obviously, we've known each other for, like I said, about an hour and a half.
Way back.
And but I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I tried to watch as much of your live performances and interviews just to see if you were jerks, and you're not. And I was really
put on really good.
Well, you must be, because I've told everybody. I said these guys were brought up right. You obviously have gotten very good families, both families. You handle yourselves extremely well. I haven't seen you do anything that would be, if I was your parent, I'd go, no, I mean, I'm sure that they're unbelievably proud of you guys, as is your hometown.
Of course. Yeah, I think families, as we were just talking about, a super important aspect to our lives and our culture.
And especially the way that we're able to travel and write together and just because what this is kind of as a band is family.
The whole operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at it, especially touring, it's like, well, we only really have each other. So, you may be brothers or something, but if we were like, I don't know, if we owned a business together specifically or something, we did something else. I don't know that we yeah. If we owned a car washing company, we wouldn't get along. But because we travel the world together, we see things, we experience things. I think the relationship that we have with each other has sort of evolved to another degree.
That's a really strong statement. Travel the world. That's just really, especially for, I know you're probably tired of hearing your age, but you guys are, I don't know though, you're really not any younger than the Stones were when they got going, actually. You're just not in trouble all the time.
Yeah. We've been kicked out of any countries.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
That's good.
Yeah.
Only venues for being too young.
Yeah. So you guys were brought up, your dad's a big music blues fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the fruit didn't fall far from the tree with all of y'all, I guess. And so you came by it honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, we always call it the vinyl playground. And our father had inherited so many records from his parents, our grandparents. And so it was a really eclectic collection of stuff that we were listening to, from big bands, to Aretha Franklin and to, Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett and that stuff. And then you had the early stuff, the Howlin' Wolf and gosh, it's Sun House.
We started from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think our father kind of was like a bluesologist in a lot of ways. I think. So when we stumbled upon something like the Allman Brothers, he made a very big point of saying, okay, yes, this is what this is. This is where it went, but this is where it came from.
Everything is technical practice, Jim, in a way. It's like, if we're going to acknowledge this, it'd be good to really understand what it is what you're listening to. And that was a pretty good education in music really early on. Of course, we didn't have many friends to talk with about all of this stuff because they wouldn't know what it was. Hopefully we've been able to turn a lot of people on to more of that early stuff.
So, do you feel like you were kind of forced to listen to some of the early blues stuff, or did you really love it yourself?
Oh, we loved it.
We loved it.
Yeah.
We really dug it.
I mean, it was on. We were hearing it, but we loved to, when we were a little young to be toying with the records, it was sort of, I don't know, should they be, pawing it up and stuff, and they're scratching the needle or the vinyl and everything. But we would do it anyway. We'd love to speed it up and slow it down and do it, and so it was really interesting.
Yeah, I
really,
suppose being at that age and being exposed to something like the blues, I think there's this element of purity within that type of music that spoke to someone completely unbiased by the world, by music, by it's so pure, it's so intentional, it's so truthful that I think struck a chord with all of us in a way. Very early on.
You heard something honest. I suppose everybody's kind
Honesty
of
is a big deal.
So, Jake, you were the first person to get bit by the bug, right?
Yeah. I was around 3, and Dad would leave the instruments out, and then Mom would say, "No, pick them up. The kids are gonna climb all over them and destroy them." He said, "They'll get sick of them and move away at some point, And some did, but I never did. I just kind of stuck with it.
What was the first song you learned?
That's a good question.
Got to be Smoke on the Water, right?
Everyone.
So probably
Yeah.
Crazy Train.
I can't. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. Probably a Cream song. Probably like "Sunshine of Your Love" or something.
That was your first song?
Probably.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Now, what was the first song the band learned when you became a band?
I think that we were still really focusing in on early blues stuff. I
Yeah.
think we were very much kind of a garage blues band at this point.
When you played your first gig for everybody in town, you came up with the name Greta Van Fleet.
Right.
What was your first song you played for the public?
Do you guys remember? I don't know.
Train Kept Rolling. I'm just kidding.
Don't.
Somewhere at that biker gig, I remember where it was.
Daniel was
can't
there.
remember.
This was before we messed around a bit before the real Greta Van Fleet was actually born, and Daniel actually attended a show because he was a fan of the band. And going back on what the music we grew up on a lot of similar stuff, and we started saying in like 6th grade, like, "Oh, you like the Beatles?" And like, "Yeah, I like the Beatles."
Yeah,
that's how we
they're pretty
started.
good.
You have a
Check them out.
jazz bass? I have a jazz bass.
Oh, right, exactly. So then we started getting into music stuff together,
Drum kit?
and in my
Yeah, it's like we all have instruments.
right, exactly, because it was such a small town.
Yeah, it was kind of few and far between. There wasn't a lot of people making music.
So what was the set list like at your first job?
I remember we did a Janis Joplin track, and I can't remember what it was.
I
We
think
also did Spoonful.
Yeah. We did some blues numbers. Crossroads, I think, was one of those.
Hendrix.
Living Under a Bad
Hendrix.
Sign.
Hendrix
that
doing
good.
Cream.
Right. We did
Yeah.
Killing Floor.
Killing Floor. Which is earlier. That's like one of our favorite Hendrix pieces.
And we did some early original stuff that we never.
Well, he was
ended up
like you
playing.
guys. I mean, he listened to the same people you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very roots of things,
Right.
right? It's very interesting, the evolution of music, kind of growing up with things that were expressively and explicitly the roots of music, of blues and folk and soul and R&B, and the fundamentals of where everything exists now. You can hear a pop song on the radio and go, "Oh, this sounds familiar," because you can reference a record that came 70 years before it. You know? It's very interesting.
Tom Petty Radio is really good about teaching people where this song came from, originally.
Right. Yeah.
as well as playing Tom Petty stuff. You know,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
So, your first drummer, you kind of had a Beatles thing. You had a drummer that, for whatever reason, you ever see him?
No, actually, we don't.
Don't see him around.
But I'd played with him a bunch.
Yeah.
You know, back
Yeah.
when he was in the band, it was very engaging. You know, we'd
Yeah.
always just get together, and the five of us would all play at the same time. It was, but no, we haven't seen him very often.
Did you end up on good terms, or
It's confusing because we try to reach out and all of that. I
From
don't
our
know.
perspective,
I think it depends. I don't know. I mean, for me, I thought we kind of. Not,
If you ask us, I
Parted
think
maybe,
we'd
but-
say yes, but if you asked him, he might have a different answer. Who knows?
I think he saw the writing on the wall. He saw. He knew that Daniel.
it's always
was,
hard.
Yeah, Daniel was coming in,
Yeah.
and he was
yeah.
so beyond what Kyle could do at the time. And so one day we came back to the house, and all his drums were gone.
He'd come and
just
he
quit.
got them, but
Well, that made it easier.
Yes, it
You
did.
know? I mean, that was kind of a godsend. in a
well,
way.
we'd done. I mean, we were doing a bike. There was a biker gig, you
Yeah.
know, and we went to the big compound, and he didn't show up, and we got a hold of Daniel, and he came. It was the first show we'd ever played together. He knew the stuff.
Panicked.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, we
But
just
Daniel,
kind of.
I think
no,
he,
I was excited.
And he
Yeah.
got on stage. I remember it kind of raining, and everybody's at the clubhouse. We've got people out there like it's a balcony or something, and we're playing. And it was just great. I would pound my foot on the stage to try to keep the tempo,
Yeah.
but not when Daniel was playing.
Yeah.
And by the end of the night, the weather cleared up. There were stars in the sky. We were loading the car back up with the gear, and I felt a weight lift, and I thought, I think we were onto something. I think
Yeah.
this might be it.
I just can't help it because I just know that what was the guy that was the Beatles drummer, the original?
Pete Best.
Pete. I know Pete had to a million times wake up, no! And you can't help it. I mean, this poor guy's got to, I'm sure he's a good guy, but I'm sure he has, what
P-
if, you know?
PTSD. maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What would not say, but the PGV. So, well, to carry on there, you're a great drummer, man. I mean, I'm not a drummer. I don't really feel qualified to pass judgment, good or bad, on anybody because I'm really not a drummer, you know. But I've been around a lot of drummers and a lot of really good ones, and I think you're one of them, man. I
Well,
mean,
thank you.
You're
very
solid.
much.
You don't fluctuate tempo a great deal, but again, a little human fluctuation doesn't hurt anything anyway, you know.
It's amazing to have the opportunity to walk around and see so many physical pieces that actually produced this, sort of inspiration in me to learn to play the drums.
Yeah. Well, these guys, like I tell everybody, even the instruments are cool, but they're tools.
Yeah.
And Chet Atkins, luckily, was a friend of mine, and I don't know if this story is really true or not. I heard it was, but Chet was playing at a club in Nashville, and this guy came up. Chet, what kind of guitar is that, man? That's the greatest selling guitar, and just kept on about the guitar. And then Chet said it in the stand and goes, well, how does it sound now? So it's the player. Obviously
sure.
it's the player.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a statement.
Yeah,
It's true.
how's it sound now?
It doesn't matter what guitar you pick up; it's going to sound like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard so many. James Burton. I'm dropping names because that's who I know, but Burton said, it doesn't matter what guitar I play because my fingers make it sound like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Even though
so
he's
true.
known for being a telly player.
Yeah.
So, your first guitar,
My first.
your first guitar.
My first guitar. I think it's interesting. So my first acoustic guitar was it must have been a first act in the basement of our grandmother's house. That was something that that's what I would play when I was over, her house. And I remember always wanting an electric guitar. But my dad had said, well, you can't get the electric guitar until you've learned these basics and this acoustic fundamental. So it was all just blues stuff. It was like, it's like, if you talk about the tactility of these two instruments, this is the most basic form of this, which is the electric guitar. So I learned as much as I could, and I think, truthfully, our parents took a vacation. I think they went to the Bahamas or Jamaica, and they came back with a Squire Fender, a Fender
Strat.
Yeah,
That red Strat.
That red Strat, and that was around, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, and that was like, then I wanted the Strat so I could play like Hendrix, you know.
Right. But you put the time in on the acoustic, so you've built up calluses and strength, and
Right.
so that was kind of like going from driving a dump truck to power steering Cadillac, kind of, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was kind of off to the races at that point.
I think their strategy was to avoid getting some amp and turning the gain all the way up.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people do when they start on electric. It's like, oh, this is really easy if you turn the gain all the way.
So yeah, and that was the thing too. So I started learning Hendrix stuff, and then I got it taken away as soon as I got it.
No kidding.
Yeah, so he took it back away. He said, "You're playing with too much gain and distortion. You can't. How can you hear anything?"
Right.
So then I had to learn some more acoustic bits, and then I got it back.
Well, he was right.
I think so.
Yeah. And your bass?
First bass was my father's bass. He tried to play, but it never worked out for him.
Fernandez.
It was the Red Fernandez P bass copy, and it's a great bass.
It's a
Honestly,
great
This
bass.
is a wonderful bass.
yeah.
Spanish made.
Yeah.
Josh, first microphone?
SM57 blew my voice out, and I blew the mic out.
That's right.
Everybody, yeah, sure, 57, 58.
Yeah.
Danny, with your drums, what was that?
Pearl Export Series was the first kit I had ever bought. I got it from Craigslist. It was $300.
Played a
Great
lot of
deal.
shows. We
I
played
remember
a
on
lot
of
of
shows.
shows.
Still
just to
have
bring
it.
back to the microphone, I remember watching Robert Dolce kind of Roger.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roger Dolce. You swing the damn mic around.
Yeah.
So I would get
That's right.
we'd be playing in the garage and I'd be swinging it around and then it'd go through the window.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the wires in there are about thread thick.
They are.
I have soldered so many of those things. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.